Welcome, pre-cal students, to the homework help video, page 825. Let's go ahead and get started with numbers 1, 3, and 5. The directions say to, let me look at my book here real quick, plot the complex number and find its absolute value. So here we go. Let's plot these quickly. Let's start off with negative 7i. Now remember, students, negative 7i is the same thing as this. 0 minus 7i, because the directions do say that we have a complex number. And a complex number has to have a real number and an imaginary number both, okay? So we go 0 and then negative 7. And there we go. There we plotted the complex number right there. Now let's find the absolute value. Remember, it's the square root of. Square this number here, 0. Square this number here, 49, add the two numbers together, and then take the square root of that number, and you will get 7. So the absolute value of this complex number is 7. And by the way, students, that makes total sense, because think about how long think about how long this line would be right here. If I drew a line, it would be 7 units. Makes total sense, okay? All right, number 3. All right, our complex number is negative 4 plus 4i, okay? So here's our coordinate plane. And we're going to go negative 4 to the left, and then 4 up. And there we go. There's our complex number. Now the absolute value, well, we take the square root of, we square this number here, that's 16. Square this number here, that's 16. Add them together, and we get 32. Okay, now we can of course simplify that to 16 times 2, and then take the square root of 16, which is 4, put a 4 on the outside, and we're left with 4 square root of 2 for the absolute value. Okay, not too difficult. Okay, moving on to number 5. Our complex number is 6, negative 7i. Here's our coordinate plane. We'll go positive 6 and negative 7. So over 6, down 7, there's our point. There we plotted, or we graphed, the complex number. Now let's find the absolute value of this complex number. We square this number here, that's 36. Square this number here, that's 49. Add those two numbers together, and we get 85. The square root of 85. I don't think we can simplify that. Let's see. Let's see. 4 will not go into it. 9 will not. 16 will not. 25 will not. 36 will not. No, this cannot be simplified. So the absolute value of this complex number is the square root of 85. Okay, moving on to number 7. All right, number 7 and 9, they want us to write the complex number in trig form. Trig form, okay? So this one here is really easy if you think about it. Usually we have to find the hypotenuse. Well, there is no hypotenuse. The complex number lies right on the y-axis. So the direction angle is going to be 90 degrees. That's easy to see. And the length of this line here is going to be 3. 1, 2, 3. So we're done. That easy. 3 parentheses cosine of 90. Oh, we should use radians. That's the proper way to do it. Cosine of pi over 2 plus I sine pi over 2. There's the answer. Moving on to number 9. Okay, here's our complex number. Here's our hypotenuse, if you will. We're going to go over 3. And we're going to go down 1, because here's my number, 3, negative 1, okay? So very quickly I can find the hypotenuse by doing this. Square the 3, square the 1, add them together, square root of 10. So there's my hypotenuse, okay? Now we just have to find this angle right here. We'll call it theta. So tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent, 1/3. So let's see what we have here. Second tangent, 1/3 is 18.4 degrees. So we're just going to call it 18 degrees. So this angle here is 18 degrees. So the direction angle would be all the way around to here. So 360 minus 18 would be 342 degrees. Okay? Now that in radians would be 19 pi over 10. So I would write your answer like this. Square root of 10, parentheses, cosine 19 pi over 10 plus I sine 19 pi over 10. And there's your answer. Okay? All right, let's move on. I do want to say, students, that I just checked the back of the book, and they had for their answer, instead of 19 pi over 10, they had 5.96 radians. Now, I want to point out to you that if you take 19 times pi, enter, divided by 10, enter, you will get 5.96. So either way is fine, okay? Either way, you're rounding, so either way is fine. Okay, moving on to number 11. The directions say to represent the complex number graphically and find the trig form of the number. So here we go. Let's find the trig form of these numbers. We'll do this very quickly. It's very repetitive. We know we're going to go positive 3, negative 3, so over 3, down 3. So we'll put this here. And we'll draw our line. And we realize that we're going over 3 and down 3. So we'll call this 3 and 3. To find the hypotenuse, we will square the 3, that's 9. Square this 3, that's 9. Add them together, square root of 18, which breaks down to 3 square root of 2. So there's your hypotenuse, or the absolute value of this complex number, however you want to look at it. And now we're going to find theta right here. So we're going to say tangent of theta equals 3 over 3. So tangent, second tangent of 1 is 45 degrees. So this will be 45 degrees. So we're going to rotate from here to here. The direction angle is 315 degrees. So the answer would be 3 square root of 2 cosine 315 degrees. And of course that in radians would be 7 pi over 4 plus I sine 7 pi over 4. There we go. Moving on to number 13. Okay, we'll quickly draw our coordinate plane over here. And we know we're going to go over square root of 3 and up 1. And if you'll notice, students, I don't try to draw my triangles to scale at all. It's just not a big deal to me, okay? So we know that we're going to go over square root of 3 and up 1, because there's a 1 in front of this I right here, even though we can't see it. So square root of 3 and 1. Okay, the hypotenuse would be square the square root of 3, that's 3. Square 1, that's 1. Add them together, you get 4. And so the square root of 4 is 2, so the hypotenuse would be 2. Now let's find this angle theta real quick. And we will say tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent, 1 over square root of 3. And we will get 30 degrees. So this angle right here is 30. Now when we go to draw the direction angle, or to find the direction angle, we'll start here on the x-axis, we'll go to the hypotenuse, it's still going to be 30, so our answer would be 2 parentheses cosine of 30, which is pi over 6, plus I sine pi over 6. Okay, moving on to number 15. Okay, here we go. Now, I would multiply the negative 2 through, so you would have negative 2 minus 2 square root of 3 I, okay? And so students, it would be negative, 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 so we'll be over here. So here's our line, and we're going to go over 2 and down 2 square root of 3. So 2 square root of 3. Let's very quickly find the hypotenuse. If you square 2 square root of 3, you get 12. Let me show you how I did that. 2 square root of 3 times 2 square root of 3. 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is square root of 9. Well, the square root of 9 is 3. So you really have 4 times 3, which is 12, okay? Square this number here, and that will give you 4. Add those two numbers together, and you will get 16, and the square root of 16 is 4. So the hypotenuse is 4, okay? Now let's quickly find the angle. And I'm going to, usually I use tangent, but since this side right here has a square root, and notice here, students, I have a whole number and a whole number. I'm going to use cosine this time, just because I have whole numbers. So I'm going to call this theta. Cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. So second cosine. And you're welcome to use tangent if you want to, it's fine. $60 degrees. So this angle right here is 60. We'll make this 0, put a 6 right here and call it 60 degrees. So we start here, go to the hypotenuse, 180 plus 60 more is 240. So what we have is this. We have the hypotenuse is 4, parentheses, cosine of 240 degrees, which is 4 pi over 3, plus I sine 4 pi over 3. Okay, let me check the back of the book real quick, make sure this is correct. And yes, it is. Moving on to number 17. Okay, students, now realize negative 5i is the same thing as 0 minus 5i. This will be a really easy one, because if you plot that point, you're going to be right here at negative 5. So there we go. So the distance, or the hypotenuse, if you want to call it that, the length of this line is just 5. So that's easy, 5. And the direction angle is going to be 270 degrees, which is 3 pi over 2. So that was easy enough. 5 cosine 3 pi over 2 plus I sine 3 pi over 2. Okay, let me check the answer in the back of the book. And we are going on. Number 19. Okay, negative 7, positive 4. So we'll go negative 7, positive 4. About right here looks good. Draw our line here, our distance from the origin to the complex number. Alright, we'll go down, then we'll go over. This is 7, this is 4, so the hypotenuse would be square the 4, square the 7, square root of 65. Okay? I don't think that can be broken down. Now theta is right here. Because I have a whole number here and a whole number here, I'm going to use those two numbers. So tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent. So second tangent, 4 divided by 7, would be 29.74. I'm going to go ahead and put 29.7 degrees, okay? So this angle right here is 29.7. So we go to here. So 180 minus 29.7. Okay? 150.3. Now if we convert that to radians very quickly, students, we would get this right here. We would get 2.62 radians. So I would have square root of 65 cosine of 2.62. That's rounded, of course. 2.62 radians plus I sine 2.62 radians. Okay, let me check the back of the book real quick. And we are good. We are moving on. Number 21. Now remember, 7 is the exact same thing as 7 plus 0 i's. This will be one of the easy ones here. This will take no time at all. we go over 7, and we don't go up or down at all. So the length of the line is obviously from here to here. That's 7. And of course the degrees would be 0. You're going nowhere. So it would be 7 cosine of 0 plus I sine of 0. Let me take a look at the answer real quick, make sure that we're accurate. And yes, we are. Moving on to number 23. Okay, here we go. Positive, positive, so we'll put a point right here. Over 3, and we're actually, that's incorrect. Sorry about that, students. We're over positive and up positive, so it would be over here somewhere. There we go. It's a lot better. And we'll be over 3, and we'll be up square root of 3. Okay. We can find the hypotenuse very quickly. Square root of 3, that's a 9. Square root of the square root of 3, that's a 3. That's square root of 12, which would be 2 square root of 3. So your hypotenuse would be 2 square root of 3. Now we're going to find theta, and I'm going to use tangent. So tangent of theta equals square root of 3 over 3. I'm getting 30 degrees, okay? So this would be 30 degrees. So from here to here is also 30 degrees. So the trig form would be my absolute value, or hypotenuse, 2 square root of 3, cosine of 30, which is pi over 6, plus I sine pi over 6. Okay, there we go. Okay. Let me check the back of the book real quick, and we will continue on. Yes, that is correct. Okay, moving on to number 25. All right, we have negative, negative. So negative, negative, we're down here. We know that we're over 3, and we're down 1. Okay. The hypotenuse would be square root of the 1 is a 1, square root of the 3, that's a 9. Add them together, square root of 10. So the hypotenuse, or the distance, the absolute value would be square root of 10. Here's theta. So we're going to say tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent. So second tangent of 1/3 would be 18.4 degrees. So we're going to cross that off. We'll put 18.4 right here. So we're going to go 180 plus 18.4 more, and that would give us 198.4. Now if we convert that over to radians, it would be this right here. It would be 3.46 radians. Hopefully you know how to do that, guys. Okay, you really should. You take this. In case you've forgotten this, you take 198.4 over 1 times pi over 180. Okay? And just use 3.14 for pi if you want to. Okay? And you will get this right here. So the hypotenuse, or the absolute value, was the square root of 10. So we have square root of 10 parentheses cosine of 3.46 plus I sine 3.46. Let me check the back of the book real quick. Hopefully we're in the general ballpark, and we are exactly right. So moving on to number 35. Now number 35, let me turn back to the page here real quick. Students, give me a second. Make sure we have the directions right. Okay, the directions are for numbers 35 through 43, represent the complex number graphically, and then find the standard form of the number. Okay, pretty simple. So we're going to write it in standard form. So here we go. We know we have a direction angle of 120 because of this right here. So rotate 120. That leaves us with 60 right here. Okay, so because of this number here, I know my hypotenuse is 3. So we are all set. Here we go. This is my x, this is my y, and we're going to find this ordered pair. x comma y. Okay, so here we go. Cosine of 60 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So 3 cosine 60 equals x. Okay, sine of 60 equals opposite over hypotenuse. Multiply both sides by 3. Here we go. Cosine of 60 is 1/2. So we have 3 times 1/2, which is 3/2. So x is 3/2. And then sine of 60 would be square root of 3 over 2. We have 3 times square root of 3 over 2, which would be 3 square root of 3 over 2. Okay, now let's see, students. Now we know what these two numbers are here, but be careful. Remember, students, to watch your signs, okay? In other words, we're to the left, so this will be negative here, and then we're up, so this will be positive. So we would have negative 3/2 plus 3 square root of 3 over 2 I. Okay? Let me check the back of the book real quick on that, and we will move on. Yes, that is correct. Okay, moving on to number 37. All right, 300 degrees. So we're going to rotate 300. So we're left with 60. Okay, so 60 degrees again. My hypotenuse is 3/2. So 3 over 2. Okay, so here we go. In order to write this trig form in standard form, I have to find this distance here. Call it x. I guess we'll start calling that our real number. How's that? This is our real number. Then we have to go down and find our imaginary number. So my ordered pair here would be real number, comma, imaginary number. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and use x and y. So we'll say cosine of 60 is I probably should keep it x and y. That's what I'm going to do from now on. Cosine of 60 is x over 3/2. Multiply both sides by 3/2. And sine of 60 would be y over 3/2. Multiply both sides by 3/2. And we have this right here. Okay? Now let's go back a page. 1/2. Okay. The cosine of 60 is 1/2. So I have 3/2 times 1/2. X would be 3/4. So this is 3/4. And then here I'd have 3 over 2 times square root of 3 over 2. So square root of 3, 3 square root of 3 over 4. Okay, that would be your y right here. 3 square root of 3 over 4. Now students, notice when you go to write your complex number, we're going to the right, which is positive 3/4, but then we're going down, so it's a negative. And that's one of the main mistakes the students make, is they forget to check their signs. So please don't forget, students, to check your signs when you're writing your answer. Okay, make sure you check for positives and negatives. Very important. Okay. All right, let's check our answers in the back of the book here, and that is correct. Moving on to 39. Okay, 3 pi over 4. If you want to change that to degrees, you can do that. You get 135. So if it's easier for you to use degrees, it'd be 135. Okay, so here we go. .135 would leave you with 45 degrees. So we have 45 degrees here. Our hypotenuse would be 3.75. I'm going to go ahead and make that 3 3/4, which would be 11 over 4. And we're going to call this x, and we'll call this y. So here we go. cosine of 45 would be adjacent over 11/4. So 11/4 cosine of 45. And then sine of 45 would be opposite, which is y, over hypotenuse 11/4. Multiply both sides by 11/4. And we'll have 11/4 sine 45 equals y. And let's say the cosine of 45 should be 1, I believe. No, square root of 2 over 2. And the sine of 45 would be square root of 2 over 2. So we have 11/4 times square root of 2 over 2. 11 square root of 2 over 8. Same thing here. Exact same answer. So 11 square root of 2 over 2, 4, or over 8 for your y. Now remember, we go to the left, so your x would be negative, and then we go up, so your y would be positive. So it would be negative 11 square root of 2 over 8 plus 11 square root of 2 over 8 I. Okay, let me check the back of the book real quick. And it looks like we might have missed this one, so hold on one second here. Let's see. I have something a little different here. Oh, this should be my bad, folks. I'm sorry. When I converted 3.75 to 3 3/4, 3 3/4 would be 15 over 4. Okay, not 11 over 4. So this is 15 over 4, which really doesn't change too much. Just make this a 15. Make this a 15. Make this a 15. And this becomes a 15. And this becomes a 15 right here. Okay, and that's it. Everything else is perfect. Right? Everything else is perfect. There we go. Okay. So students, sorry for that mistake, but that is how you do that. And let's go ahead and continue on. Number 41. This should be a pretty fast one because pi over 2 is 90 degrees. So this is really easy. We're going to rotate 90 degrees to here. And then we're going to go up how far? 8. There we go. So what is that ordered pair called? 0, 8. So it would be 0 plus 8i, or you're welcome to just call it 8i if you want to. Okay? Check the back of the book real quick. Yes, that is correct. Okay, number 43. 18 degrees and 45 minutes. And if it helps you, that's the same thing as 18.75. If you take 45 and put it over 60, you get 3/4. So 18.75 would be the exact same answer. So, all right, let's rotate 18 degrees. There we go. I'm not trying to draw my drawing to scale. 18.75. Your hypotenuse is 3. Okay, so we're trying to find this length here and this length here, y. Okay, so here we go. Cosine of 18.75 equals adjacent over hypotenuse, multiply both sides by 3. 3 cosine of 18.75 equals x. And then sine of 18.75 equals opposite over hypotenuse, multiply both sides by 3. 3 sine of 18.75 equals y, and here we go. 3 cosine 18.75 would be 2.84. And 3 sine 18.75 would be 0.96. So notice, students, they're both positive. We're going to the right. And notice also we're going up. So both are positive. So it would be 2.84 plus 0.96i. Okay? Let me check the back of the book on that. and we are right on the money, okay? And so that's it, students. I hope this homework help video has been a help to you guys. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or email.